Okay, today we'll try to implement one BADI. We'll create implementation, BADI implementation, and we'll also see user exit. Yesterday I've shown you how to find a user exit for a standard transaction code, and you need a access key to implement. We'll also see if we don't have access key, what are the possibilities to write the code in user exits. Okay, first we'll
Okay.
check the BADI, okay, business add-in. So the very important concepts about the BADI are interview questions. BADI follows object-oriented programming approach. So it contains interface methods. Customer exits
Yes.
contains function module with a include program, with a custom include program, right? BADI
Yes.
contains interface methods. You know what is interface? Methods without implementation.
Yes, sir.
So when you create the implementation for the BADI in SC19, a class will be automatically generated to implement the interface methods, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
BADI can be implemented multiple times. BADI supports multiple implementations as long as the checkbox is selected. Multiple use checkbox is selected, right? So in SC18 implementation overview, we can check the existing implementations of the BADI. To find the suitable BADI, we can use a CL exit handler, get instance method. Keep a breakpoint and execute the standard transaction code. It will display all the available baddies at that specific action. For example, when you click on save, when you click on back button, or when you open the transaction code, what are the baddies available to display the default values, right? We can find everything using CL exit handler class get instance method. It's a very important interview question. Most commonly asked interview question. Okay. So let's try to create one implementation. So we'll take MM01 as example. So here the enhancements might be screen enhancement where we need to add custom fields in the screen, or source code enhancement. Source code enhancements means adding new validations, adding additional select statements, adding additional logic. That is source code enhancement. We can also enhance the screens. For example, here you can add one more field, right? And in the relevant customer exit or BADI, we need to write the code to populate that value. Now we'll check source code enhancement. Okay, but what are the
Yes, sir.
baddies available? So my requirement is mm, let me try creating one sample material. I'll copy from the existing material. Select the industry sector and material type. Select finished product. I'll copy all the data. Whatever the data available in the previous material, I'll copy everything. It is asking plant data also. I'm not sure which plant. Okay, or let me remove plant data. I'll create this material with only basic data.
Sir.
So basic data is copied from material number 81. Well, material for BADI. Save it. So what is my requirement? For example, my requirement is I've populated the data, but when I click on save, it should validate the data. Validations are already there for unit of measurement, division, everything. Validations are already there. But I want to add some custom validations. Like I don't want to allow a specific material type and industry sector combination. I don't want to allow to create a material with that combination of data. Okay. So that kind of validation I have to implement. So when I click on save, the material will be saved, right?
Yes, sir.
Before saving that, I need to validate my custom requirements, my custom validations, right? Now, after clicking on save, There should be some enhancement option, right? That might be a user exit, customer exit, BADI to write our custom logic, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
We need to find it where we need to write that code so that that custom logic will execute after save, right? After click on save. Now we have 10, 20 baddies, but all baddies are not going to be executed for save action, right? Only few baddies will be called for save. Remaining will be called few for back button, few for enter. Depends on requirement. Baddies are placed in different places. Now we need to find a baddie which will execute after clicking on save action, right? To find all the baddies, go to system status, program, and find the package of the program name. So MGA is the package. Now go to SC80. So if you enter the package name in SC80, select the package name, MGA. So here in enhancements, you can find all the enhancements available for this package, MGA package. MGA package might be using for different transaction codes also, not only MM01. Okay, all material related transaction codes also. So you can find all the enhancements available for this package, including MM01 and other transaction codes. There is enhancements. Go to BADI definitions. So what are these? These are all BADI definitions
Available
available in the
multi-sector.
package. But we don't know which one is triggering after save, right?
Yes, sir.
But we can see if you want to know the need of the BADI, you can go by the descriptions. What is the use of this BADI? BADI for internal control of EA and logic, enhanced check for material master tables, enhanced check for material master tables, additional customer defined default data. So they have provided some description. Also double click on the BADI in SC or open the BADI in SC18, go by documentation. If documentation is available, you can check the documentation. Here they have provided.
Yes.
You can use the BADI MM Matner to include additional checks and dependent tables in archiving of the objects. They have provided the functionality of this BADI. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so there is a lot of documentation here,
Mm.
right?
Yes, sir.
So these are all the interface methods, I believe, right? So check the BADI definition and understand is it suitable for our requirement or not. And also go by interface methods. Check, see there are a lot of interface methods here. And check
Yes, sir.
is these interface methods are suitable for your requirement or not. Check the parameters. We have MDATA. Some data is coming here. Check is the data relevant for your requirement or not as a input. It is an importing parameter, right? By using this data, you can build some logic. But before that, you need to find a suitable baddie. So here you can find all the baddies, but not the suitable baddie. One thing is you can
Yes,
go and
sir.
check in the Google. There are a lot of examples available. You can even find the suitable logic, exact logic also sometimes. Okay,
Okay, sir.
like if you pass if you like you have to ask the question properly. Like what is the suitable baddie for
Save.
material validations like that. There will be a lot of
Okay, sir.
examples. Or you can also ask Chat GPT, provide a suitable baddie for material validation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, or you can
Sir.
check in the SAP blogs. There are a lot of examples will be available. Now, so that's a shortcut, but we'll see the actual process like to check the available baddie.
Yes, sir.
For that, what is the class we need to use? What is the class we need to use?
Alt.
Hmm? Which one?
Exit handler.
Which one? Which class? To find a baddie.
Exit handler.
CL underscore exit
CL
handler.
exit handler. CL underscore exit handler. This is the class. Inside that, we have a method, get instance method. Double click. And here, there is a method called get class name by interface. Keep a breakpoint here at the starting or here after the method call. So exit name, right?
Yes, sir. Exit.
This exit name will return the baddies calling one by one after save. Okay. So it will
Yes,
return
sir.
all the baddies which are going to trigger after save. It will return one by one. Okay. But because if you go and check the standard program, right, you can see this method call inside the standard program to call the baddie definitions.
Yes.
Wait. The problem is you need to terminate the debugger once you are done with the task, right? Otherwise, it will trigger for every step the CL exit handler. Let me
Okay.
terminate the transaction code for now. Stop. Let it continue. Let me open a new session. Display, go to get instance. I'll keep a breakpoint here after get class name by interface. Here I'll keep it the breakpoint here in the case statement after method call.
Okay, sir.
This is not the point where we need to check. I'm going back to the MM01 transaction code to save the data, but the CL exit handler will trigger for each action.
Yes, sir.
So you can skip all these steps. Now click on save. I've entered the data and I'm clicking on save. Now we need to debug the available baddies for save. First one baddie is called here. Baddie
Exit now.
baddie GTIN
Exit.
variant.
Uh,
Check this baddie. Is this baddie is suitable for your validation or not? How can you decide that? Is this baddie suitable for your requirement or not? This one. User exit for customer specific GTIN variant check. The description itself it says this is not suitable. You can go to SC18 and check the interface methods. If interface methods contains Mara table importing parameters, MAKT importing parameters. You can say that, okay, this uh, BADI is suitable for my requirement.
Because it is a material number. Okay.
Okay, these are the parameters, but I don't have any Mara data here to check the what is our requirement to validate the material type and industry
Material.
sector combination, right?
Yes, sir.
MTART and what is the MBRSH, I think these two fields from Mara table, but I have here actually, I have here Mara table parameter. Is it importing
Yes,
parameter
sir.
only? This might be suitable for my requirement because I just need only Mara data. I'm getting the Mara data here, material master data. This is suitable. Let's check other baddies also. This one. Next, F8, BADI material reference check, BADI material check. This is also suitable. Let's check BADI material check. Sometimes you can find multiple baddies which are suitable for your requirement, but go by the interface methods and documentation and the SAP recommendations and implement the BADI. Okay, this one, BADI
Yes,
material
sir.
check. Enhanced check for material master tables. So it is
Tables.
description itself, it is saying it's going to validate the check the material master data tables.
Yes, sir.
Should contain some table data. So let's implement this. I feel that this is suitable. I'll remove the breakpoint so that it won't trigger every time. Now go to material check. So we have check data for check and limit changes to the material master tables data. So what it is
Yes,
saying,
sir.
check the material master
Fit
data and
data.
limit the changes to material master data tables. So what are the
Okay, sir.
parameters available? What are the importing parameters available for interface method? Let's check. The CL exit handler is still triggering. I just removed the breakpoint. So what are the tables we have here? MARA,
Mara.
MARC.
MERC.
MARC is for material plant data. MART, MBEW. Whatever the details, master data details we are entering in the MM01, all the master tables data is available in this interface method, check data. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's implement this. So how to implement?
Go to method.
So
Double
first
click
we'll check
on.
available implementations for this. Go to
Okay, sir.
implementations overview.
Yes, sir.
There is one custom implementation. Someone created one custom implementation, but that is not
While check
active. But that is not active because it is
active.
not in yellow color,
Yes, sir.
right?
Okay, sir.
Now let's create our implementation. Backslash o sc19.
Classic body.
Yeah, create the implementation, classic BADI implementation. For that, we need the definition. Enter the definition name,
Three.
create, provide the implementation name. So it depends on the project naming standards. Okay, usually
Sir.
we create like this ZDI. ZDI means enhancement implementation.
I will check.
You have to ask for the naming standards in the project. So what is the
Yes,
naming
sir.
standards I have to follow for BADI implementations?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Short text.
body of
Some. Okay. Now is it a multi-use BADI, single BADI? Multi-use BADI. So
Multiple.
everyone create their own separate implementations,
yes, sir.
right? So all these implementations, when you create multiple implementations, right? So your seven resources, you created seven implementations. So how it works is that seven implementations, seven custom functionalities are going to execute with MM01 or not?
No, sir. Which is
No,
going to be
all,
active?
yeah, all seven functionalities will work, execute one by one. Okay,
Okay. Okay, sir.
in a random order. There's no order. Whose implementation is executing first? There is no such order. They'll execute in a random order. Okay, but as long as there is no error message, because error message will terminate the process, right? If there is no error message, all the implementations will execute. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's create the implementation for interface method. Double click on the check data method to create the implementation. This class will automatically generate. You can also change the class name before going to implement. ZCLIM EI material check. That is a class which is going to automatically generate along with the BADI. Provide the proper package name. For now I am using local object. Is the screen familiar for you or not?
Yes, sir.
What is the screen?
Signature.
For method.
Class, when you are creating class methods,
Method
method
implementation.
The method
implementations, it's the
implementation.
same screen, right?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So we are not doing nothing, we are not doing anything new here.
Yes, sir.
Double click on the method, check data method, and write your code, whatever the functionality required. Okay.
Sir, since we are using only single method out of the seven
Hmm.
methods, but how it, if any errors are there, it's not going to implement, sir, further. It's not going to active, sir.
As long as there is no errors in the current method, BADI implementation will be active because we are not implementing other methods, right?
Yes,
We
sir.
are implementing only this method. So the other methods will be inactive because we are not creating the
Okay.
implementation, right?
Okay, sir.
They are
The
not going
other
to be
methods will
executing.
be inactive, sir.
Inactive, yes, because they are
Okay, sir.
unimplemented methods,
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
right? Now, let's implement whatever the logic you have. You have data here, input data here, data from Mara, MARC, MARD, MBEW. So you can write whatever the logic suitable. Okay, you can call function modules,
Sir.
you can call the class methods, right? You can do loops, you can insert the data into database tables, delete the data, whatever the above coding. Only one exception here, you should not use commit work. Commit work statement should not be used inside the enhancements, because what commit works will do, it will commit all the database changes, right? If you use commit work here in the enhancement option like BADI or customer exit, what it will do, even before changing the actual data. So since it is triggering the BADI, all these details going to be created in the table at the time of triggering this BADI. No, the data will be just collected into tables. After completion of the transaction code, all the data will be inserted into database tables. If you use commit work here, even before creating the master data, whatever the changes are happened till now, they will be created in the database tables. So it will cause data inconsistencies. So don't use commit work in the
Okay.
enhancements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Now I'll do some validation. If W Mara, or if you want to check what is the data that is coming here, you can just activate it and keep a breakpoint here, and you can check all the importing parameters. What is the data available here? Okay, I'll write some validation. If w mara hyphen material type equal to, what is the material type you have selected? I don't know. Let's check that in the debug mode.
80.
Some x. For now, let's assume some x, and w mara hyphen mbrsh. Mbrsh is industry sector.
Okay.
Some y. Let's assume it as some y. And if
And
message, use message class or text symbol for message text. I'm using error message. Pretty printer. So we have different tables. In MARC, we have plant data. Okay, you can also use this. You can also use, depends on your logic. MARD, storage location data. Storage location data of material. What is the table for storage location data of material?
MARD.
MARD. If you want to check the storage location, you can use MARD.
Okay, sir.
If your logic uh, needs to build on the storage location. So select all the objects generated for the BADI implementation.
Hey.
Activate the BADI implementation. The objects, whatever generated, method is active. Go back to the BADI implementation. Is it active or inactive?
It's
Inactive.
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 We need to activate the implementation.
Sorry, sir.
So as long as it is active, this code is not going to work along with your standard logic. Okay. So let me keep a breakpoint here. If you want to keep the breakpoint, there are different ways. You can set breakpoint, static breakpoint like this. So you can use external breakpoints. This one, there is external breakpoint. This one, external breakpoints. External breakpoints we use for RFCs, web services, okay, OData services. For that, which type of breakpoint we need to use?
External web.
External
External
breakpoints.
breakpoint.
Normal breakpoints won't trigger for RFC debugging, web services debugging, and OData services debugging. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And when you set the external breakpoint, right? We should not use our own user ID. We should change the user ID in utilities settings. When you are using external breakpoint debugging, in place of user, right, you have to provide the username which is using for connection, RFC connection. Okay, we have to place that username here. Then only debugger will trigger when you are testing the web services or OData services or RFC function modules. Okay, you have to change the user ID also when you set the external breakpoint.
Yes, sir.
So remove it. The other alternative is break hyphen point. This is called a static breakpoint. We write
Okay, sir.
breakpoints in the code, but it will trigger for every user. It will trigger for every user whenever they execute mm01 or whenever they execute a specific report. The breakpoint will trigger. For example, if you forgot to remove this breakpoint and transported it to production, breakpoints will trigger whenever the user try to create a material. That should not happen, right? But in
Yes,
some
sir.
projects, they'll disable the debug authorizations in production, but it is not recommended to keep this kind of static breakpoints, break hyphen point, because it will trigger for everyone. So breakpoints we set to test the program, right? Whether it is working or not,
Yes, sir.
or to find a issue, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
Yes,
when
sir.
I'm trying to debug that, I'll set my own user ID. I'll set like this break space username best. Now the breakpoint will trigger for only this user whenever,
Best user.
yeah, only when the best user is logged in and trying to execute
Sir.
the logic. So I'm activating the method once again. Go back to the implementation. Implementation is active. Now breakpoint is ready. See, I've just shown you the break space username. You can set a normal session breakpoint like before. If you click on the gray area, it will set the breakpoint. Okay,
Okay, sir.
just like this. You
Okay,
can
sir.
also set this breakpoint. Okay,
Okay, sir.
now go to mm01. One material is created. Double click on this or copy this. We'll create one more material with the reference of this material. This is message number. This is message number. What is this message number?
I'm
M3.
3800.
M3 800. I think M3 is the message
M.
class. 800 is the message number.
Yes, sir.
What is the transaction code for message classes?
MMZ.
SC91.
SC91. Is there a message class with name M3?
Star.
Hmm. M3. And is there a message number 800? Let's check.
Eight. Yes, sir. 800 is there.
This one. Material created. This is the placeholder. In place of this, material number is displaying, right?
Yes.
Here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now copy. So what is the material type I have selected? Industry sector is automobile and material type is finished product I have selected, but I don't know what are the codes. These are descriptions, but I don't know what are the codes. Okay, let me create it. I can check that in debug mode. Continue. I'll just select some basic data. Click on save. Now BADI should trigger because the implementation is active, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
My functionality is not yet completed. I'll keep a breakpoint and check the data and implement the further functionality. Now, if you go to locals, yeah, these are all the, if you go to locals, what are these? These are all the importing parameters of the interface method, check data, right?
Sir.
What I am
Yes,
getting
sir.
here, double click on Mara. This is material number.
Yeah.
If you check this material number in Mara table, is it available in Mara table? No,
No,
because
sir.
It-
record is not yet created. It's still in the process. Okay.
Okay, sir.
It generated one material number. What is MTART?
What?
VERT. And what is the industry sector? B.
MBR.
B.
B. Material group is 01. So by using this data,
Yes,
I
sir.
can build some logic. Okay.
Yes,
Or I don't want to allow material type VERT, industry sector B, and unit of measurement kg. I can write that logic also, right? So I have data in the material master data Mara. Let's check the other structures. Let's check MARC. This is empty because we are not passing any plant data. Okay. We are not selected.
sir.
We haven't selected the plant data. Storage location also empty. Only we have material basic data. S text. What is S text? S text is nothing but MAKTX, material text, right?
Sir.
Since MTRT is what, anyway, this error message is not going to be triggered. F8. So material will create. Now I'll change the logic. Use constants for these kind of values. Okay, define a constant with the type of material type data element. Okay, don't use hard coded values like this. Constant, for example, cx underscore, okay, whatever m type. Type, what is the data element for material type? Maybe mtrt.
T.
Value vert, capital letters.
VRT.
Since it's a character type data, use single quotes. Similarly, create for industry sector also. Don't use hard coded values. Okay.
Uh,
Industry sector is B, right? Hmm.
B.
Check. Activate. Now create one more material. I'll relaunch the transaction code because I did some changes, right? The code may not reflect here. I'll reopen the tree code. Now automobile unfinished product. Yes. VERT and M. Now I'll use the existing material to copy. I'll select only basic data. Click on save. Because I logged in with the best user, breakpoint is triggering.
Yes, sir.
Now the MTRT value is VERT. We are checking against our constant VERT and MBRSH is B.
B.
So error message is triggering. Material type and industry sector are not allowed. Some relevant message.
Sir.
Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
So the common issues would be like whenever the user see this kind of errors, right? They'll raise a ticket. They'll create a ticket that they are not able to create the material, right? Then what you need to do whenever you got assigned with this ticket, create the
Hi.
record and you can see this error message and first check for all baddies or customer exits implemented for this mm01 transaction code. From where
Yes.
this error message is triggering, right? We are not using message class here, right? If we use message class, it will return the exact message class, but here we are not using message class. We are triggering some static message, right? If you
Yes, sir.
use message class, here you can see the message number. There you can keep a breakpoint. Okay, or let's try that. Let's try to use any existing message instead of writing our own message, custom static message. No changes made, no data input possible. We'll try to find any suitable message.
Selected me.
Type, enter MRP type. Where is material type?
98.
104,
Maybe
98.
104 or 98. We are entering the material type. It should say that enter valid material type. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, or we'll use this. The material type, we have a placeholder. Here we display the value, material type value does not exist. Message number is
Not
110.
110.
Message class is M3. Message M3 110. I forgot the syntax. You need to provide type E or just E is enough.
Type is
Like this. Check. M3 is unknown, white is unknown. Let's check the message syntax.
In,
Press F1.
M3 in brackets.
Okay, here. Message, these are placeholders. Message I010 with placeholders. I think we completely reversed the syntax. You guys are not correcting me. So
E110 in brackets M3.
you guys are not practicing. Since we have a placeholder, if we don't have placeholder, this is enough, right? If we have a placeholder, how to write?
With
With we have one placeholder, so we have one placeholder, we'll display the material type, whatever the material type we're entering. Okay, check, activate. What I'll do, I'll remove the breakpoint. See, BADI implementation is completed. I'm showing you how to troubleshoot a error message and how to find the root cause of the error message. Okay, activate. So our BADI is activated. Now go to MM01. I'll terminate this session and create from the beginning. It is still showing old message. If you observe, click
sir.
on save. We changed the code. We activated the method. removed it, right? Breakpoint also we removed and activated, but it is still triggering the old code. That's why we should refresh the transaction before going to after the changes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
mm01.
Fun.
It is slow. It is the same process when you got the message in the standard transaction codes. First, you need to find the message number and you can debug the code to find the root cause of that message. What is the validation it is checking for? Okay,
Yes.
it is still loading. Okay, now it is loaded. Uh, this is mm01. Continue. Let's select only basic data for now. Now save. Debugger won't trigger.
Mm,
So type our message is triggering here.
yes, sir. Work
Did we
does not
why did we
exist.
set MRP type? Okay, let it be any message type. I think we have added wrong message number. Let it be. So a message is triggering here and I don't know the root cause. Double click on the message.
It will navigate to the method implementation. Sir.
No, it will just display the message number.
Okay, sir.
So this is the message M3 message class and the message number. It is displaying, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
Yes, sir.
remember the message class M3 110. 110 is the message number. Now we need to troubleshoot or debug from where this message is coming from.
Yes.
use slash h.
Last hitch.
Slash h and press enter. Debugger will switch on. Then
Okay,
click on
sir.
save. Now click on save.
Save.
It is very slow. So it will start debugging immediately. If you click slash h, right? It will start debugging
Yes, sir.
immediately. But we don't need to debug all of this. We know the message number, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Breakpoint, breakpoint at. If you observe these options, you can set your
Message.
breakpoint at different places at a
Yes, sir.
specific statement. For example, read
Everything.
statement or loop statement. That will stop at every loop statement. If you add statement as loop like this, you need to add the statements, or you can have a
Yes, sir.
F4 help for all the statements. Okay.
Yes, sir. Transformations.
Few commonly used ones, but we can add lot of statements. Loop at screen, right?
Yes,
Method, you can set a breakpoint at specific method. It will automatically trigger whenever that method or class is called, right?
yes, sir.
You don't need to debug every line. You can provide the class name and method name, and it will trigger that logic. That's why we should modularize the programs. Okay.
To know exact position.
Yeah, like that we have function module calls. Okay. And forms, subroutines. We have messages. If you see message, now we need to
M
use message. What is
M3.
the message ID?
M3, sir.
M3.
110 number.
Number, if you know the number,
110.
you can enter. But
110.
it will trigger for M3 also. Number is not mandatory. Number and type. Okay. If you
Okay,
know,
Okay,
sir.
if you
sir.
know all these details, enter. Okay.
Type
That's
do.
the error message, right?
Yes, sir.
If you don't know type, leave it.
Okay, sir.
Continue. Now press F8. Where are we?
Where
St-
we are
it stopped
yes,
at
sir.
that specific error
Message.
message. Now you know the
Yes, sir.
validation, right? Whatever we are using here. So we are validating here material type and industry sector. So that is the reason this error message is rising. So you can provide this update. We have a validation in the standard logic or in a BADI that is raising this error message. The validation
Okay.
is on material type and MBRSH,
Yes, sir.
right? Like this, you can find it. You don't need to debug all 1,000 lines of code. Okay.
Got it, sir.
So that's about BADI implementation. Uh, Tomorrow we'll see one user exit example, customer exit example, and implicit enhancements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
But practice this BADI implementation today. So everyone create your own implementations with a different
Yes, sir.
implementation name.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We'll eat.